I found my voice because I found my purpose very early, and that was to help. Like, I would just go around and observe like situations and try to figure out how can I help make this better. And it didn't matter what it was, like a community dinner, our family like gathering, like like the small things as a child that mean the world to you when people are coming together, and like just really finding a way to either provide comfort or to provide support for my grandmother or for my mom. And just recognizing the beauty and what it means to serve those you love around you, and in a way where you're contributing to the wholeness of the unit and to the sense of well-being and celebration or whatever it may be, and being able to come from that place of action and give words to the value and the meaning that it has, really helped me find my voice early on. Women have always been leading. They've always been leading. They've just been rendered invisible. Like in doing a lot of the work that I've been doing across our communities, but also like nationally and internationally, even in non-Indigenous communities. It was the woman who organized for educational rights, for voting rights, for civil rights. It was the woman who organized for community pantries, for support for children in their communities. And it's almost always the same story. And a lot of times those movements, the face of them has been male, but the actual engine behind how progress has been achieved and how we've been advancing the wellness of our communities, that's always been powered by women. And I think that this rise that is happening that we're seeing is really women being tired of having our voices taken from us and our leadership undervalued, or misrepresented, or invisibilized. And so it's a beautiful time to be alive. And I see it in connection with a lot of our Indigenous people's prophecies. One of my mentors, Deborah Whiteplume, she used to go around and educate people on the prophecy from her peoples, the Oglala Lakota, about how we're in a time where the earth is rising up. And she did a documentary called Crying Earth Rise Up. And like that, even that title is really poignant, but it's connected to women and our connection to creation, our connection to the earth. Like, it's the earth rising up, and it's also the woman rising up, and letting it be known that enough is enough, that we want and are going to bring in the change that is needed. I shared the story of like the Navajo birth cohort study that was conducted on the Navajo Nation, where pregnant women in communities impacted by uranium mining are birthing babies that have levels of uranium in their body equivalent to adult male mine workers. And so when you take that context of the environment that we're living in, it becomes very clear that we're born into this battle, into these struggles that connect both the devastating environmental impacts in our environment and how that has a direct link to the impacts in our communities, particularly around public health and the feeling of safety and wellness and well-being for our women and our children. And so being an Indigenous woman born into this world means being born into these responsibilities to carry on that work, that labor of love, and addressing these injustices in our communities, because our families' very lives are tied to it. So many things I feel like we face as women when it comes to daring to take charge of our own lives and embark on that pathway to leadership, whatever it may be. And I think one of the biggest things that our women need to really believe in and hold on to is that we have every right to reclaim our spirits. And we have every right to do the things that give us purpose, that bring us joy, that allow us to express and live in our love that we have for everything around us. And that's our leadership. That's the power of our leadership and our perspective and our approach to how we care for and develop the work that we do in this world. Indigenous peoples across the globe, the majority of them were matrilineal cultures because they recognized women were held in such high regard when it came to issues of battle and of war, because women knew that life was the ultimate gift that needed to be protected at all costs. And so the decision to take life was always given to the woman, because they knew that woman would not make that decision lightly. And it's such a complete contrast to the world that we have today and the assumptions that we make about women and their leadership, right? We're never talking about women in leadership in battle, like in the military, right? But at the end of the day, how much better would our world be if women were the ones that would decide when and how that happened? And I think that it's that compassion, that love, like all the things that we've been taught to minimize in this society, that is actually the root of our power and the type of leadership that we need most in this world right now to face these challenges that we're facing.
It was interesting when they look around and looked at which countries did better in COVID response.
And it was the women leaders. Yep, exactly. That's a great example. Yeah, it's just like the care that we have. And so for young women, like to not compromise ever on those beautiful characteristics and those aspects of our nature as they embark on their leadership journey, I think is one of the most important things we need to teach our young ladies who are out there in the world looking to make a difference. And we also need to support them in that leadership journey. Leading with love, I think, is one of the most revolutionary things we can do at this time. It's fierce and uncompromising. It's what has helped women who have faced genocide in their communities be able to still wake up the next day after all of their loss to continue to take care for those who have been left behind. It's what fuels us every day as we're faced with overwhelming issues of contamination, of government bureaucracy, of rights violations, and of like the endemic of poverty and of addiction in our communities. It's what allows us to still have hope and to foster that hope and fight for those we love around us, despite how big and how scary these challenges may be. And so that I think is what makes leaders the most daring and what we need more of in this world. I think the real leaders that I continue to be inspired by are my elders and my grandmothers. Right now I'm working with this beautiful group of elder women. One of them is the former council delegate of our tribe, Catherine Benali. And then there's Shirlene Jumbo, there's Christine Laughter. There's one of my elders I've been working with on several different projects, Hazel James. There's the leaders at Purpose Focus Alternative Learning, Joanne Armenta and Don Yellowman. There's the resistors, the matriarch resistors from Black Mesa and their daughters, Louise Benali and Marie Gladue, that I still work with. These are women who people may not have heard of them unless they've really did like specific research of work that's been done in particular communities across the Navajo Nation. But they've dedicated their entire lives to helping advance the rights of our people, to helping fight for our children, helping to bring awareness and attention to the issues that our communities are facing, not to overwhelm them, but so that we could come from a place of strength in addressing them. We could come from a place of knowledge and understanding. I want those who I've had the honor and pleasure of meeting on this earth to know that I did everything I could to help and support them in their own journeys. I want a legacy that makes people feel good about themselves and their purpose and their role in this world.